All right, so we're going to start on our code. I have my empty script.js file. I have the console open as well because we're going to use that quite a bit. And what I want to start with is just building a simple router just so we can run specific JavaScript, specific functions on specific pages. For instance, when we're on the movies detail page, we're going to get the ID from the URL, and then we have to fetch the data. We have to fetch that particular movie data. So obviously we only want to run that code on this page. So when you use a framework like React or Vue, you have routers already built for you. But obviously with vanilla JavaScript, we have to do everything ourselves, which is good. It's a good learning experience. So if we do a console log here, there's a few ways we could set this up. But if I do window location dot path name, and we take a look, you see that it says index HTML, right? If it's when we first come to the page, it's just nothing like that, and then we just get slash. So we're going to want to, whatever we want to do in the home page, we want to check for slash and index HTML. If we click on this TV shows link, we get shows.html. If I click on a specific TV show, we get tvdetails.html. So we have a few pages that we need to check for. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put this in our global state. Okay, so at the top of the file, I'm going to create a variable. Let's say const. I'm going to call it global. You can call it state or whatever you want, really. And that's going to be an object. And in that object, I'm going to have a property of current page. And I'm going to set it to that value of window location path name. So now if I were to console log global dot current page, we're going to get the current page. TV shows, now we get shows HTML. So at the bottom of the file is where I want to basically initialize our app. So I'm going to have a function. Let's put a comment. We'll just say init app. I'm going to just probably comment all the functions so we know exactly what they do. But let's say function init. And in here is where I want to check which page we're on. Now, there's a few ways we could do this. I think that a switch is the best way. I think that's the cleanest way to do this rather than a bunch of if statements. So let's put a switch in here. And let's say we want to test the global dot current page value. And then we'll say for a case of slash, then let's just do a console.log and we'll say home just to make sure that this works. And then we just want to break. Actually, this is wrong. There's no colon after case. All right. And then, yeah, let's try that. So I'm going to run this init. Now I could just run init, but I'm actually going to put it on the DOM content loaded event listener. So let's say document add event listener and say DOM content loaded, and then we're going to initialize our app. I'm going to save that, and now we're seeing a console log of home. All right, if we click on shows, this is going to be shows HTML for the current page. So let's make a case for that. Let's say case, and it's going to be slash shows.html. And then what we want to do is we'll do another console log and we'll just say shows. And then we'll break. So if I save that, now we see shows. Let's also create one for the details pages. So if we click on a movie, that's going to be, if we look up here, movie-details. So let's, we'll just go right here and say case. And that's going to be movie or slash movie-details.html. And then we'll just do a console log and say movie, oops, we need our quotes, movie details. And we want to break. All right. And if we save that, we should see movie details. Now we also want our TV details. So if we click on this, that's going to be the TV details URL. So we'll just copy this. So that's going to be TV details, and set that TV details, save, and we see that console log. And then the last one we're going to want is the search page. So we'll come down here and let's get rid of that. It's going to be search.html and say search. Okay, so now we have a very simple router. So basically whatever we want to run for each page, whatever functions, we'll just put inside of that case. Now for the home page, which is going to be this movies link, or if we click here on the logo, it'll be the home page, but we can also go to /index.html. So I want this to run if we're on / or the index.html. So if you want multiple conditions, all you have to do is just put another case underneath it, right? Because you can see on index.html, it's not console logging home. So let's do this. We'll say index.html. Actually, let's add a / there. And then put our colon, and then save. And now this is going to run whatever we put here, whether we're on / or index.html. Okay, now there's another small piece of functionality that I want to do, and that is if we're on movies, I want this to be yellow. If we're on TV shows, I want this to be yellow. So we're going to have a function. Let's see, let's put this right above init for now, and we'll say highlight active link. And we'll call it, let's say function, and we'll call it that. We'll say highlight active link. So if when we do stuff like this, like you know what I'm about to do, if you want, you can pause the video and try to do it on your own. I think that's a great way to to practice and to learn. So what I'm going to do is get all the links. So not all the links, but all the nav links. If we look at our index.html or any page, because this is on every page, we have at the top in the header, we have the two links that have a class of nav link. And if you were to add more, you'd also put this class on. So let's get those. So we'll say const links, and we're going to say document dot query selector all, because we're getting all of them, right? So let's pass in here the class of nav-link. So we're getting the links. Now what I'm going to do is loop through them. So let's do for each, and we'll say for each link, then let's check to see if the link is equal to the page, right? Because we know that global.current page is going to have, it's going to be like index.html, shows HTML, etc. So I'm going to put an if statement here, and let's say if link dot, and remember we have a get attribute method that we can use. Let's say get attribute, and I'm going to get the href attribute. So if that is equal to our global.current page, then we know that we want to add the class onto that. And if we look at our style sheet, there should be a class of right here, active, which is going to have the secondary color. It's also going to make it a bolder, more bold. So let's apply to that link. Let's say class list dot add, and we're going to add the class of active. Now I'm going to call this down here. I'm going to call it inside of the init. Okay, make sure you're not in the switch though. Go outside of the switch, but inside of the init function, and we'll call highlight active link. Save that, and now if we're on the home page here, the movies page, we see movies. If I click on TV shows, now that's active. All right, and the reason this works is because init runs on every page, right? This JavaScript file is connected to every page, so it's going to fire off, and then it's going to always run highlight active link. But it's not going to run all the functions we put in here. It's only going to run the ones for that particular page. All right, so I think that this is a good place to stop. We have a nice little simple router. We're able to highlight the active link. So let's move on to the next video.